What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Deep Corner. This is episode 7. I'm Rob St. Clair, and I'm pleased to be joined live from Phoenix, Arizona, from the Phoenix Ascension, Mr. Joe Kauliakamoa. Joe, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great. I'm glad to be here. I've been waiting for this for a little, so
Great.
so hard to be here.
Good. We're excited to have you on the show. Got a bunch of volleyball to talk about. First, I have a funny question I wanted to get to. With your last name, Kauliakamoa, what's the worst it's ever been mispronounced? I've always wondered that.
I mean, you can probably guess so many different ways, um, but I think the worst way is maybe if they add a letter. So say if they can read it, but then they're adding letters like G's and J's all of a sudden, and that's kind of the worst ones that happen is just when they add the letters that aren't even there at all.
Yeah, that I guess that can happen. My last name is weird in a different way, I guess, because
Oh yeah.
the two word thing. My dad has gotten the following two telemarketer calls, like back when your home phone would get called from people trying to sell you stuff. Like somebody asked him if Mr. Street Claire was there one time. That was pretty dumb. And then somebody asked him if Mr. Staclair was there. Uh, so
I haven't had that bad though.
good. And hopefully the people who've been broadcasting your matches have known how to say your name. I made sure I got that right before I had you the first time.
Yeah.
So your last name is Hawaiian. You were born in Hawaii, correct?
Yes, I was. I was born there, but I lived most of my life in Las Vegas.
So when did you move?
I moved when I was around 6, and ever since then, I was in Vegas and then lived in Utah for college, and then here.
Cool. So you kind of have volleyball in your blood and in your family, right? How did you get exposed to the game, and when did you start to really take it seriously?
Well, since the day I was born, really, because all my family has played volleyball. I was literally born in the gym. My sisters played, my parents played, grandparents played. I mean, everybody in my family pretty much played. But I didn't really take it seriously until I was 10 years old. That's when I was on an official team. We don't travel that age too often, but it was a little traveling then. But yeah, that's kind of when I started since I was 10 and strong ever since.
That's still a pretty early start. Like I know a
Yeah.
lot of people who've grown up in like volleyball families. If you're just in the gym all the time, like I don't know if your parents or siblings are around the game all the time, you just kind of grow up touching the ball all the time in just random, informal settings. And then when you finally get on the court, it's kind of upwards from there.
For
Uh,
sure.
so although you didn't live that much of your life in Hawaii, that is a huge volleyball culture. And I know you've gotten to know that a little bit even after you've moved. Can you tell me about the game of volleyball in the state of Hawaii?
Um, I mean, yeah, it's I would say a little different. I mean, the passion for it, I feel is stronger, especially in the defense aspect of it, because some Hawaiians aren't as tall as me. I mean, most of them aren't as tall as me. So I mean, yeah, defense is a really key thing in the Hawaiian culture of volleyball, and kind of matching everybody's talents on the other side, and all the opponents. I mean, always trying to outplay, always trying to hustle and kind of pursue. Um, and I mean, yeah, I'm grateful to have kind of that in my background for sure, and kind of my parents teaching me that kind of passion, especially in the sport of volleyball.
Yeah, so then growing up with an emphasis on defense, like the little guys in the back row flying around, when you do grow up to be 6'5" or 6'6", I'm sure that helps all the more because then you can actually do the other things in the other areas of the game that are all the way around. So that probably has a lot to do with what made you such a well-rounded player. And I want to get to your all-around game quite a bit later, but what was your like positional progression growing up into the game? Were you always a setter, or did you mess around with some other positions before you went to college?
Um, I mean, most of the time, most of my childhood, I was a setter. The only reason I played outside hitter was when I was in high school. all during the high school seasons, I was strictly, mainly an outside hitter, only swinging maybe through my junior, senior year because I was going to college as a setter. We entered me as a setter sometimes in some rotations to get that going and prepared for obviously the college seasons. But yeah, so it was mainly setting, and in high school I was an outside hitter for my team, and then it kind of developed there. So I mean, I don't have too much experience as an outside, really.
Until you came back from overseas and were like, you know what, I might as well play some outside, which I love,
Yeah.
and we'll definitely talk about that quite a bit. So like, what was your recruitment process like? Because like you said, you played a lot of left side in high school, but for club you were a setter, and you knew your future in the game was to be a setter. So when did you start getting looked at, and when did you decide on BYU?
Um, oh man, I decided pretty early in my high school days. I think I was a sophomore. I know definitely a junior year. I knew it was going to be BYU. I had a visit there and just kind of loved it and loved the environment. So after that visit, it came pretty quick with the decision and easily with that decision. So I verbally committed. Like halfway through my high school season, kind of said, "Hey, I do want to go to your guys' school," and that was with Tom Peterson. He was the coach at the time. So they kind of looked at me as I was growing up in at high school, and in all my clubs and all the big tournaments that we played, nationals and all that good stuff. So it was pretty easy to get myself out there, and also I played the USA Junior National or Youth Nationals and Junior National team. So lots of people kind of knew the name, so they came to watch me, and luckily and gratefully, I was able to accept and get to BYU.
Yeah, so you mentioned your experience in the USA pipeline. I assume you just kind of got through the high performance tryouts and got on a couple teams that got to travel, but then you got to do a little bit international work with USA, like a little bit on the junior level and then eventually on the senior level. How does that work? Is it just like you kind of get your foot in the door at one point and you just keep getting picked up, or well, talk to me a little bit about your USA experience.
Well, I was lucky because I started pretty young going into the USA, um, as you could say, community or something. And I started when I was in eighth grade with the high performance team. So as I grew older and kept trying out for the teams and kept making the teams, so it was just kind of easier. I don't know if you can call that really international like experience, but we got to go places. Yeah, we got to play in the NOSACA tournaments and world.
Yeah.
Went up from there, and with the international play and kind of the background of the BYU schools, because BYU is such a known school for volleyball. Um, it was easy for my agents to kind of send the videos and also have kind of that resume with the international play from the youth nationals and junior nationals, and then on to the BYU. So I'm grateful that I was able to go to Europe and play for sure. But it's definitely from kind of all that hard work, I guess, that I put in when I was young, for sure.
Yeah. Like me and Matt August in my last interview were talking about the importance of like having film to go when you're trying to go overseas, just for all the people and the agents and the coaches to get kind of a normalized bar for what level you're at. Like it's actually kind of really hard to evaluate how,
That's super important.
yeah, how it's tough to kind of figure out how an American is going to fit in the several leagues in Europe. So you got yourself all over the place. You got yourself on video as much as possible, and that clearly paid off. So speaking of being on video, I remember watching your teams when you were at BYU, like later in your career. Shout outs to Steve and Jerem that did the broadcast for you guys. BYU always does a really good job of producing and streaming men's volleyball because that sport is a big deal on your campus. It's like
Oh yeah.
the Smith Field House looks incredible. I would love to go see a match there. definitely the third biggest sport at BYU, right behind football and men's basketball.
Yeah.
So, what's it like playing in front of that crowd every single home match?
Oh man, it's just insane. I mean, I'm sure if you ask a lot of players that we played against, in different colleges, and they'd say that was probably the best place to play in, just because our crowds and our fans are just so supportive. And some of them, I'm sure, don't even know what they're watching really, but they don't care and they just want to have fun. So, but it was an amazing experience, and it really helped as well because of the kind of the pressure that it put us in. And then when I went to play in Europe, it was easy, like because the sport is so big there that man, I was so used to playing in front of huge crowds, and it just was nothing. And I just knew that what I can do and how I can kind of perform, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated aspect of being an athlete, like how the crowd affects you. It is a very non-trivial important thing, and like
Yeah.
if you're not used to playing in front of 2 or 3 thousand screaming crazy fans, then when you go to Europe, if you go to the right places, you're going to be in for a little surprise.
Yep.
So you had a heck of a college team, BYU at your time, and even still consistently, pretty routinely in the top five. Some names that people should certainly recognize: Taylor Sander, Futi Tavana, Russ Lavaya, Rob Stowell, Jalen Reyes, Libero, Josue Rivera, and then several guys that came after you. Of all the players you ever played with in college, who's your favorite to set? That's a really hard question.
Yeah, that is. I mean, even just kind of naming off all those names, I mean, all of them I just kind of remember, they were all fun to kind of set and kind of throw them the ball, and just everybody's able to put it away pretty easily too. So, I mean, obviously Taylor Sander is a fun guy to play with, and really easy to set as well. I mean, just throw the ball up there.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I mean, he's still going strong right now. So, but yeah,
Yeah, he's been a heck of a career to follow, obviously. And Ben Patch came a little bit after you. A lot of
yeah,
serious talent coming out of BYU lately, and like consistently over the last 10 or 15 years. So another thing about BYU that I think is interesting is the McGowan family, and how I understand that Carl had a way of teaching blocking that was like kind of unmatched throughout the country. If you can kind of peel back the veil on that, like how did your teams always succeed at the blocking end of the game so well?
oh man, I can remember so many drills that we had to do, especially like in the mornings. I mean, some people would just kind of do hitting or something. Some people would just do setting, just that one skill, just really focus on it. But with a lot of things that we did, or what I remember, we also added like the blocking with it. So we also added kind of we had two people being kind of doing individual works, and then we would work on our blocking skills, and then we'd be working on our attacking or on our connections with the sets. So it's just kind of like the adding and then just repetition after repetition. I mean, that's definitely what they believed in, just doing it over and over, maybe a million times before even the season started. That's what I remember. And then just kind of what you look at, what you're watching, kind of practicing the different movements. I know that we practice maybe like 6 to 10 different footworks that maybe some people still don't even know, but it's
Wow.
kind of good things to practice to kind of, if you're in trouble, you got to do a different way. If you're not even there, you try to do something else,
Yeah.
like they really taught us a lot of things just to make sure that we are kind of mentally focused to be ready in that aspect of blocking, because it was really important for our team, and it's always been for BYU for sure.
Blocking is just so hard at the highest levels. Blocking
Oh
is
yeah,
really, really hard, and there's so much that's going on. Obviously, you're talking about eye work. I think people don't quite get how important it is to be doing the right things with your eye progression, who you're watching when you're blocking the ball, and like
yeah,
even you weren't even a middle. You didn't have the whole net to be responsible
yeah,
for, but
yeah,
you've got to help on the 31 set. You've got to come help on the pipe occasionally. Like you've got to see an outside hitter's tendencies, line or angle, all that stuff. Like blocking is hard at the high levels, so it's cool to
Yeah,
hear
for sure.
how seriously you guys took that end of the game, and it very clearly paid off. I guess it's still a big part of BYU's culture as a team. They're just so fundamentally blocking solid every time I watch their teams year after year.
Yeah, and it helps that we're like 6'9", 6'10", and above most of the time too.
That doesn't hurt. That definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about how you got connected overseas. I assume you had one or multiple agents that got kind of a hold of your film and just gave it to everyone they could. So what was the transition like between leaving BYU in 2012 and then heading over to Europe?
Um, I mean, with the agents, it's always a toss-up when you want to go play overseas for mediocre, good, or great players. I mean, you always have that risk of is it going to work out or not?
Is it the right
Um,
fit? Yeah.
yeah. So then that's when your agents kind of come in, and especially if you really do kind of some research with agents and kind of get to know them, or maybe talk to the people that have worked with them to see if they're good and what kind of connections they have. Because really, it's about who you know or who those people know, so that they can kind of help you get to that point wherever you want to be. So I was lucky that our stats guy Giuseppe from BYU, he helped me because he's Italian and he's from there. So I kind of helped him and he helped me as well. So I'm very grateful for him. And he kind of spoke to some other coaches, some other teams in Europe, and then that's kind of where it took off. Luckily, I was able to go to Slovakia. That's where he helped me get to. And then after that, one of our middle blockers from that team, his agent was a really good agent from in the Italian league as well. And then he told him to watch me play in a Slovak game. And then he was very interested, and then that's kind of how I went to Italy to play. So really, it was just it's. I'm not trying to say it's luck, but I mean I got really lucky in my career for sure that they happened to be there when I was playing, or kind of those people that I came in contact with or played with were able to help me out. So yeah.
Well, you were prepared and you took the opportunities when they came your way to play some great volleyball. I understand you didn't. You guys win? You won the Slovak League when you were there, right? And that kind of
Yeah, we did. We had a young team, really strong for sure. Um, but in that league, it wasn't very big at all. It's not quite like the Italian league, but it's
not very
definitely a
many
good.
things are.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to start. Kind of the baby steps to get wherever you want to go, how high you want to go.
So the Italian league, for the people that don't follow overseas volleyball all that much, I think a lot of people will agree right now it's the best league in the world. Russia is in that conversation. Poland is in that conversation. But there's so much money in Italian volleyball, and there's so many very, very good teams, like 4 teams at least, that will contend for the European Champions League every single year. So that to be on any roster in A1 Italy is a big deal, and it's going to be a step up from anywhere you were previously. Is that true in your experience? Was the level that much higher once you got to Italy?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty insane. I went to having that BYU team, and that BYU team that I played with in my last year was awesome. But just that experience of all the Italian players or even the Slovak players, I mean, it is like a whole another game there, and it's so much quicker, so much bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an eye opener, and I had to really kick it into gear. Not saying that I was behind, but strength wise, I wasn't really as strong as I should have been out of college. So I really needed to make sure that I could kind of keep up and be strong and with kind of hold my share when I went to that European league. But yeah, for sure, kind of playing with all the people that you see on the Olympic teams, pretty much. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
a lot of them in the Italian league, and I got to play against a lot of them, and it was such a great opportunity to do that. And I love saying like, hey, I played against those guys, and
Yeah, yeah,
all the
you
crazy
could.
guys are like, oh wow.
Yeah, you got some serious name drop ability when you can talk about the people that you played with and against. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned getting stronger, and I'm kind of interested by that in as it relates to being a setter, because you're not taking 40 swings a game,
Uh,
but strength obviously still important. Can you tell me why?
so during my time when I was playing in the Italian league, I was a jump serving server, so a top spin server, and there weren't very many of them as a setter. I mean, so I mean that's what kind of helped me get to where I was or get on the teams too, just because I had that aspect of the hitting. Like I was a little diverse in my playing styles. So I mean, just in that aspect alone, I had to be stronger because I had to serve just as tough as everybody else. Maybe try to even be tougher. And kind of that setting aspect, being able to kind of set the ball from anywhere on wherever you are on the court, even if you're behind the service line, and set a perfect ball from out there. I mean, that's why I had to kind of strengthen everything about my game or even my body, just to be able to do those type of things, which I'm very grateful for sure.
Yeah, that's what they pay you to do, is set those balls from 50 feet away and
Yeah,
have them be right in the wheelhouse to give guys some opportunities.
yeah,
That's good insight. Players got to be hitting the weight room all the time.
yeah.
So being a setter, I love. By the way, everybody should go check out Joe's highlight reel on the VLA YouTube page from the Long Beach scrimmages and just kind of all of them. Because watching you set the ball has always fascinated me because of how impossible you are to read. Especially when you go behind, like over your head. I cannot tell which direction your hands are going until the instant the ball is gone. How do you do that? How do you disguise your set for so long? Like how do your hands work like that?
Through all the years that I've had to practice, and especially in the different levels with USA or college or Italian league, I mean, I've learned so many different ways to kind of set the ball and kind of where I contact it or how I push the ball or kind of the distances. So, I mean, there's a lot of different techniques that you have to use, especially. And I kind of make it, and I kind of choose, and I get to play with them, and now I get to kind of make my own almost, if you want to say. But just a lot of practice with the back sets. I actually like back setting too. But
Backsetting's
but I
so
mean,
awesome.
yeah. So I mean, just really, it sounds weird, but it's not what I don't actually extend my arms all the way out like you're supposed to do, you know? Like I actually kind of catch the ball a little bit closer to my head, so then all I have to do is go one direction up. It's
Hmm.
either going but then they don't actually know where it's going to go. But I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to it, so I mean, it'll have to be like a whole another video if I had to explain
Well,
it. But
that
yeah,
is an option for content down the road. Get a little setting lesson from one of the wizards. That's
yeah,
that's awesome. That's great insight. Yeah, setting is such a cool position to me. I've like always kind of wanted to be a setter. It's a
oh
position
yeah,
where you can be so creative and you feel like you're in so much control. Like
I agree.
how do you feel what's going on the other side of the net and what like and how do you feel the choices that you're gonna make? When do you make your choices? How, like are there stats behind it? Is there like a game feel behind it? I don't know. Talk to me about running an offense.
I mean, yeah, you just kind of have to know the other side. That's for sure. I mean, maybe you only play them, or maybe that's the first time you play them, but you kind of pick up things as the game goes on. You might see, hey, this guy can't block or something, or hey, this is a smaller guy, you know, the obvious ones. So, I mean, you really want to make sure that you know that other side. And it's also your side as well. I mean, maybe outside is hot right now, so you want to go to him, and he's matched up with a smaller blocker. So, I mean, there's lots of lots of strategy kind of in the setting position for sure. I'm sure all positions have them, but setters might have the most.
I think they have
Kind of
to.
to think about because they kind of have to carry the game. Um,
There's
but
one.
yeah,
There's one in particular that I've noticed kind of recently that I want to ask about. I've seen Micah Christensen do this, and I've actually seen you do this. Where if you have a guy, one of your guys is at the service line, and he's just ripping away. If one of your guys is getting hot from the service line, maybe an outside or an opposite, if he puts some pressure on and you get a free ball, do you feel inclined to set that guy in the back row to keep him hot? Because I've seen Micah Christensen get Matt Anderson rolling, and I've seen you get Taylor Sander rolling like that. You set a guy a bick when they're already hot from the service line, just kind of keep it up. I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that I've noticed recently.
yeah. I mean, I never really thought about it, but I kind of want to say if they bomb the ball from the service line, it's almost like you want to reward them if they give you an overpass or like if they give you something that's easy.
Yeah,
And and if they're kind of back there three times, yeah, we might as well just go to him so that he kind of. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard of an option for sure. And the
yeah.
other side probably wouldn't even think about it and say, hey, he's serving, he's probably too tired to hit anymore. But nope.
Good point. Yeah,
Yeah,
when you're hot, you're hot. Everyone who's ever played the game definitely knows that.
yeah,
It's the same thing. Like when a middle comes across the point where he has to pass the ball, he wants to get set right away.
yeah,
Everyone who's played that position is familiar with that too.
yeah.
So let's switch gears to when you moved back to the States after you were done playing overseas. What brought you to Arizona, first of all?
Um, so my wife is from Arizona. She's from Page, Arizona, actually. That's where Lake Powell is. So she got a job with SRP, which is a big electric company here here in Phoenix. So it kind of brought us back here to Arizona because she got onto a great job there. So it was hard for me to decide to stop playing volleyball in Italy, um, but financially and kind of with our family growing because we had one kid at that time, and then we knew that we wanted more, so we had our second. So we just kind of knew our life was going to be busy, and it's going to be hard to kind of go back and forth. So that's why we kind of decided to come back to the States, and that's what kind of brought us to Arizona.
Cool. Well, it helps to have a region where there's a lot of opportunities to play. Like Vince and I
Yeah,
talked a bit about this. Like the Arizona adult scene is pretty strong, uh, which is great. Like anybody post college or post like playing career or whatever. Nobody ever wants to give up the game for good. Everyone still wants to play. So
yep.
it's nice to have the opportunities to do that still. When you came back and you got in with Vince's team, the Ascension guys, you decided that you were going to play outside. Uh, first of all, why? Why'd you want to give up the hands and put on the shoulder?
Well, I never forget one thing. I was so grateful that there was a league here that I found out about, and that there was a team that was so close. For one, so I was able to play again. But just kind of thinking about that and thinking about, oh, I set already. I did it for a living. I kind of want to do something else, you
I
know?
like that. I like that.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of that's why I'm hitting now. I'm still able to set, and I'm still kind of always an option to do it. But I really enjoy hitting, and I always have really. I know in Italy or even in college, like we didn't really have opportunities to hit at all. Like even when we were training or kind of doing the skills, individuals, like we were strictly setting. So I just knew if I was a setter again, I might not be able to do anything else, you know, like, so I just really enjoy the hitting aspect, and yeah, I want to show my talents, especially with this league.
Yeah, well, you're obviously very capable. Those of us who've seen you play outside can see that. But it's cool to have done what you've done in your career at the setting position, now completely going to the other side, kind of the skill set, so to speak. Uh, do you think that there are things about your setting experience that give you some advantage on the outside that other outside hitters don't necessarily have?
Um, for sure. Well, just because as setters, so if you play as in a professional league, especially in the Italian league, I just remember we had to work with everybody. So if a middle had to work on something, a setter used to be there. So then now we're learning all of their things because we got a setter. And so I didn't want to, but hey, now I know it, right?
Yeah, you're in
We,
everyone's
we had
drills.
to, yeah, we had to do that for every single position on the court. So I mean, that's what kind of helped me understand and kind of and I'm able to help, especially with our Ascension team, kind of um, teach some of our guys, maybe get some advice to some of our middles or to our setters or whatever position. So I'm glad that I'm able to help and kind of have that knowledge um, to help our team, especially for Ascension.
Yeah. How about your offensive shot selection at the outside? What are you looking at to indicate your choice of, high hands, line angle, roll, tip, whatever, the all the things that you've shown that you have in your arsenal? When are you making a call on that, and what are you looking at?
Um, I mean, it really depends on how big that block is. I mean, that's kind of the first worry that I'm sure everybody has as a hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of determines on how high I have to hit, right? Or any hitter. So, I mean, if that's a pretty big block in front of me, I mean, now I know, okay, now I can't really bounce any balls. That stinks, but hey, I'm not really like that anyways, Like, I like being kind of versatile and kind of have that strategy that changes up the game, really. Like, I don't really like just kind of that power. I really like messing with the defensive on the other side. Maybe add a roll. I don't really want to tell you all my secrets because
Fair
then
enough.
everybody's just gonna know.
Don't reveal the
But
secrets. The
yeah,
people can watch Joe's
yeah, just have to
offensive game.
watch.
Yeah, the opposing teams are going to have to do their research to figure out how to defend you. Uh, have you noticed a transition or any difficulty now that you're blocking on the left side versus blocking on the right? I personally am awful blocking on the left, but I'm very good blocking on the right. I don't understand why that is.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a different feeling because I've never actually been trained as like that left side player or that outside player with any high level things that I've played in. Um, but I just kind of know from working with them, and kind of playing a little bit in high school. Um, but kind of transitioning to that side wasn't so hard for me, luckily, just because I just get lots of reps. I get lots of reps. I just kind of know in my mind, I know what to do with my body and where to kind of shift my hands for blocking or something. But it's definitely different on the mindset. Like I was always a right side, or I was always a setter. So when I first started out, when I was an outside hitter, I really had to kind of change my mindset, and I struggled with it a little bit. But um, it's just kind of the sport, and it's always fun, and I still get to kind of better my game for
Great.
sure.
Well, before we get you out of here, I want to hear a little bit about what you're looking forward to this year with your Ascension guys and with this new season in the league. And we've got a busy couple months ahead of us once all the kind of virus-induced cancellations die down, and
Yeah.
there'll be a handful of announcements about that in the semi near future. But talk to us about your plans for this season, I guess.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about this season. Hopefully, everything works out and everything is gonna pan out for our season to continue. But what I'm really looking forward to is just really that level of play. I always enjoy kind of that best level, and I know that we're going to have it in this BLA, and kind of seeing all the guys that are joining other teams and all the competition, and even our team. We have new additions to our team, so we get to play with a little bit of different flavor for our Ascension team. So it's really, really exciting to kind of show our new team and also to kind of battle it out with all the other teams as well.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, you can all look forward to seeing Joe on the court this season with the Phoenix Ascension. We will see them in Louisville, we'll see them in Minneapolis. I think we'll see you in Orlando, and we'll see you in Reno at the end of the year, as well as a little presence at the volleyball festival in Phoenix in late June. So these guys will be all over the place. Give Joe a follow. His Instagram is there on the screen. It's at Joe Kauliakamoa, right?
Yep.
All right, got it. Also, as an aside, on the VLA Instagram today, me and Joe's teammate Vince launched a little challenge amidst the current quarantine, which I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
Yeah, dude.
ever go check that out. If you're looking for ways to get engaged with volleyball while a lot of the seasons are canceled or postponed, check out the VLA Quarantine Challenge on our Instagram. Get a partner and play some pepper across the country like Vince and I did. It's a kind of a fun little thing. So with that, I want to thank Joe again for joining us, and thank you all for
Yeah.
tuning in on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, wherever. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
All right. See ya.